Joining us now is Patrick Haan, head of GasBuddy's petroleum analysis. Great to see you, Patrick.
Thanks for having me.
So we're seeing lower prices than we've seen in a really long time. Are they impacting how people are traveling for Thanksgiving? Are more people willing to drive this year?
Well, absolutely. I think that's a big factor in why 72% of Americans told us they'll be hitting the road. Gas prices have been falling for 6 straight weeks. And the national average now teetering on the edge of falling below $3 a gallon. It would be the first time since 2021. And as you mentioned, this Thanksgiving is the cheapest Thanksgiving since we were amidst the pandemic back in 2020. Combined with the economy that's slowed down, gas prices in 30 states below $3, that is enticing a lot of folks to hit the road.
Yeah, below $3 is very enticing. But is there a magic number for gas prices that gets people on the road? Is it $3? Is it $3.50?
Yeah, I think right now it's definitely below $3 a gallon, especially because that would represent almost a cut in half of the gas prices that we saw, the record-setting prices from 2022. So thankfully, we come a long way. And I think that key psychological point is just about anything under $3. As long as it starts with a 2, I think most Americans are pretty happy.
And consumer confidence improved this month by about 2 points. I haven't said that in a very long time. How big of a factor are gas prices in that consumer confidence?
Well, they're a huge one, no doubt. It's really the only commodity that you could be driving and not need it, but you're still stuck in the face by looking at all those gas prices everywhere. Those bright LED signs get your attention, and it really gives you at least an upbeat view if gas prices are low, and you feel really repressed when gas prices are high because it certainly slows you down from going places you want to go. So absolutely, it's a huge economic barometer.
And when you talk to drivers, are they excited about the holiday season solely because of gas prices? Is it making them come out of their house and venture out, maybe do that long hour drive or few hour drive?
Well, sir. Yeah, certainly. It's getting a lot of Americans out of the house, especially with the best economic situation since 2020. And of course, back then, a lot of us were staying far closer to home because of the pandemic. So, yeah, you have to rewind quite a distance to find a combination of a strong economy with relatively low gas prices. That's where we are today. And that's probably at least a good portion of the excitement. Many Americans now not too scared to fill up when those numbers go up a little bit more slowly than they have in the past couple of years.
Do we see the numbers going up after the holiday season when it comes to gas prices and, of course, those petroleum and oil barrel prices?
Yeah, for now, I think prices should remain relatively low. There could be some fluctuations. We're keeping an eye, though, on January. President-elect Trump has promised potentially tariffs of up to 25% on Canadian oil. That could have a profound impact for a lot of refineries in the Great Lakes, Midwest, and Rockies refined Canadian crude oil. So that's something we'll be watching in January. If it does happen, it could be quite impactful for those regions.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, to your point, President-elect Trump has pledged a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada, Mexico. Canadian supplies over half of the America's crude oil. How do you think that could impact gas prices January and beyond, Patrick?
Well, it could be really painful. In fact, if you do the arithmetic on that 25% tariff on Canadian oil, that would be about a $15 a barrel tax paid by refiners. And just like restaurants can't afford to absorb the higher food costs they charge you when you're out dining, the same thing would be true on refineries. That is, they can't absorb the tax on this. They would push it to the pump, and that could amount to 30 to 35 cents in the Great Lakes Midwest. It probably would not impact the coastal regions. They may have alternatives. But yeah, it could amount to 30, 35 cents in the winter, and it could be more impactful in the summer when we roll out those summer blends of gasoline.
I was just thinking about the summer. Do you think we can see gas prices over $5 again because of these potential tariffs?
Well, hopefully not. Tariffs would amount to about a 30 to 35 cent impact, but it is possible if there are other things going on, if there's a huge uptick in the economy, if demand goes up, and keep an eye on China. China's demand has been lower. So if there's a resurgence there, we could get prices back to 3 or 4, but hopefully not the combination of $5 prices that COVID and the reopening economy and Russia's invasion of Ukraine caused.
So let's say these tariffs happen, like the president-elect has been saying. What would help prevent a spike in gas prices here in the U.S., Patrick?
Well, not a whole lot. I mean, a lot of these refineries are completely reliant on Canadian oil, so they really don't have any means of being able to supply themselves with non-tariffed oil. Canada produces something in short supply. That heavy crude oil is hard to find. Ironically, the other countries that produce a lot of heavy oil, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, countries that were not really on the same page with as of late.
Right. Patrick Haan from GasBuddy, always appreciate the insight, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.